The 1975 New Pence 5 Pence coin of the United Kingdom featuring Queen Elizabeth II, a full historical and numismatic analysis. Historical background. To fully understand your 1975 5 New Pence coin, we must begin with Britain's monumental currency, transformation that began in the 1960s, decimalization. For centuries, Britain used an ancient and highly complex monetary system based on pounds, shillings, and pence, where 1 pound equaled 20 shillings and 1 shilling equaled 12 pence, making 240 pence in a pound. This system, rooted in the medieval period, became increasingly impractical for the modern economy, especially with growing international trade, computerized accounting, and financial systems requiring simpler decimal-based calculations. In 1966, after years of planning and debate, the UK government officially announced that the country would move to a decimal currency system. The process began in 1968 with the introduction of the first decimal coins alongside the old pre-decimal currency. The 5 New Pence coin was one of the very first decimal coins introduced. It was intended to directly replace the old shilling. 1 shilling, 12 old pence, but 5 new pence in the decimal system. Even though full decimalization only officially occurred on Decimal Day, 15th of February 1971, the 5 new pence had been in circulation for several years by then. Your 1975 coin belongs to the early years of this freshly decimalized British coinage system, making it part of an important transitional period in British economic history. The 1975 issue, the context. By 1975, the British public had largely adjusted to decimal currency, though older generations still nostalgically referred to the coins by their pre-decimal equivalents, a bob for 5 pence, for example. Economically, Britain was facing serious challenges during the mid-1970s. Inflation was high, the oil crisis of 1973-74 had dramatically increased costs, and the country was navigating an era of industrial unrest, strikes, and political instability. Despite these difficulties, the decimal coinage stood firm, becoming an enduring feature of everyday British life. The 1975 5 New Pence was part of the first generation of decimal coinage that continued the original size and design established in 1968. This version of the 5p coin was larger than the smaller 5p coins introduced later in 1990, which were resized to better reflect their reduced purchasing power. The design of the coin. Let's now examine the design in detail. Every part of your coin reflects British history, tradition, and symbolism. Obverse, the head side, features a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. This portrait was designed by Arnold Machine R.A., Royal Academician, in 1968. The Queen is shown wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, which had been given to her as a wedding present by Queen Mary, originally from the Girls' Society that gave it its name. Around the portrait is the inscription, Elizabeth II, D.G. Reg F. D. 1975. This expands to Elizabeth Sau Dei Gratia Regina Fidei, Defensor, Latin for Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. Machion's effigy of the Queen was widely praised for its youthful yet regal depiction and was used on British coinage from 1968 until 1984. Reverse, the tails side, displays the design created by Christopher Ironside, who won a national competition for the reverse designs of the new decimal coins. The reverse shows the crowned badge of Scotland, a thistle surmounted by a crown. The thistle has been a Scottish emblem since the 13th century, symbolizing defense and resilience. The surrounding inscription reads, New Pence, at the top, and the denomination, 5, below the design. The inclusion of the thistle honors Scotland's role in the United Kingdom, balancing the multiple national identities within the coinage. Specifications of the coin denomination, 5, New Pence composition, cupro nickel, 75% copper, 25% nickel. Mass, weight, 5.65 grams diameter, 23.59, muddy thickness, 1.7 mej, milled, reeded, mint. The Royal Mint, UK official mint at Llantrisant, Wales since 1968. The cupro nickel composition ensured durability and resistance to wear and corrosion, important for everyday coins expected to last many decades in circulation. Mintage and scarcity in 1975. The Royal Mint produced approximately 133,760,005 new pence coins for circulation. Additionally, limited numbers were struck for collectors' proof sets. Because of the high mintage and wide circulation, 1975 5p coins are relatively common, especially in circulated condition. The new pence inscription, a transitional feature, an interesting numismatic detail about your 1975 coin is the inscription, New Pence. This label was only used between 1968 and 1981 on 5p coins. Initially, it was added to help avoid confusion during the early years of decimalization, as many people still thought in terms of shillings and pre-decimal pence. In 1982, the inscription was changed from new pence to simply 5 pence, once decimal currency had become fully accepted by the population. Therefore, coins like your 1975 piece serve as a clear marker of the transitional phase in British coinage history. Collector value and numismatic interest in terms of collector interest. Common circulated condition, worth only face value, 5 pence, or slightly more depending on condition, uncirculated condition, may sell for 1.3 depending on the quality. Proof specimens, from collector sets, can command slightly higher prices, 3.5. The coin is more valuable as a historical and educational piece rather than as a rare collectible. That said, it remains a fascinating and desirable coin for those building full decimal collections or studying Britain's coinage reform. The broader significance of your 1975 coin, your 1975 5. New pence is more than just a small piece of metal. It is a relic from an era when Britain was reshaping itself economically and culturally. It reflects Queen Elizabeth II's long reign, during which her portrait appeared on countless coins, stamps, and notes. It belongs to a short-lived inscription, type New Pence, which offers numismatic interest for collectors focusing on decimalization. Its Scottish thistle design symbolizes the union of nations within the UK, emphasizing the balance between tradition and modernization. What happened after 1975 in 1990, the size of the 5p coin was reduced to a smaller version to reflect inflation and economic adjustments. The old large-size 5p coins, like your 1975 piece, were demonetized and ceased to be legal tender in December 1990. Today, only the smaller 5p coins remain in circulation, but the earlier large 5p coins remain an important part of Britain's numismatic heritage. Summary. In short, your 1975 British 5 new pence coin featuring Queen Elizabeth II is a product of Britain's massive decimalization reform, carrying the design work of Arnold Machin and Christopher Ironside. It carries historical, economic, and cultural meaning that connects modern Britain with its rich past. While common, it remains a treasured piece for collectors of British coinage and those interested in the story of money's evolution. The next topic, the 1968 United Kingdom 5 new pence coin, featuring Queen Elizabeth II, represents a fascinating chapter in British monetary history. This coin is not just a simple currency unit, but a direct product of one of the largest and most complex financial transitions in British history, the decimalization of British currency. It holds historical, political, numismatic, and economic significance, particularly as it was among the first decimal coins introduced, years before decimalization officially came into full effect in 1971. Historical background. The need for decimalization. For centuries, Britain had used a currency system rooted in ancient Roman, medieval, and pre-modern European traditions. 12 pence in a shilling, 20 shillings in a pound, thus 240 pence to the pound. While it had served the nation well, by the 20th century it became increasingly cumbersome, especially with the globalization of trade and the increasing use of automated accounting systems that favored decimal-based calculations. Calls for decimalization had existed since the 19th century, but it was not until the mid-1960s that the British government took decisive steps. In 1966, the decision was made to switch to a decimal system where 100 new pence would equal £1 sterling. This would bring the UK into alignment with most of the world's major economies and simplify calculations in both domestic and international commerce. The Decimal Currency Board, DCB, was established to manage this enormous undertaking. One of their first moves was to begin introducing coins before the official switchover date of February 15, 1971, known as Decimal Day, to ease the public into the new system. The birth of the 5 new pence coin, the 5 new pence coin of 1968, was among the very first decimal coins minted for circulation, alongside the 10 new pence coin of the same year. Interestingly, both coins were introduced while the old SSD, pounds, shillings, pence system was still in operation. The 5 new pence coin was designed to directly replace the shilling. Both coins were identical in size, weight, and metal composition, allowing them to circulate interchangeably. This clever move was part of a larger strategy to reduce public confusion and ensure a smooth transition. Many vending machines, coin-operated services, and tills were already geared for shillings, so keeping the size and weight the same meant no immediate changes were required to thousands of machines and systems across the country. The obverse. Queen Elizabeth II, the obverse front of the coin features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, who ascended the throne in 1952. The portrait used on the 1968 5 new pence was created by the artist Arnold Machin, whose depiction of the Queen had first appeared on British coinage in 1968. This portrait is widely considered one of the most elegant and enduring representations of Elizabeth II. In this design, the Queen is shown wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland diamond tiara, a wedding gift from Queen Mary, her grandmother, when Elizabeth married Prince Philip in 1947. The tiara became a symbol of continuity and stability and was often associated with the Queen's early reign. The inscription surrounding the portrait reads, Elizabeth II, D.G. Reg. A.F. D. 1968, which stands for Elizabeth II de gratia regina fide defensor. Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This formula has long been part of British regal coinage, reflecting both the monarchy's sovereignty and the monarch's role as the head of the Church of England. The reverse, the denomination and national symbolism, the reverse, back, of the coin, bears the denomination New Pence 5, the word new being used to distinguish the decimal coinage from the pre-decimal system. This was necessary in the early years of decimalization to help prevent confusion between old and new coins. The word new would eventually be dropped from British coinage starting in 1982, by which time decimal currency had become well established. The design of the reverse features a crowned thistle, a symbol of Scotland, reflecting the United Kingdom's long-standing practice of incorporating emblems from its constituent nations into its currency. The thistle has been a Scottish emblem since at least the 15th century, and its inclusion on the coin honors Scotland's integral role in the United Kingdom. The designer of the reverse was Christopher Ironside, a renowned British coin designer whose work was central to the new decimal coinage. His designs were selected after a national competition and consultation with the Royal Mint Advisory Committee. Specifications of the 1968 5 new pence. Coin composition: cupro nickel, 75% copper, 25% nickel. Weight: 5.65 grams. Diameter: 23.59 millimeters, 0.93 inches. Edge: milled, reeded. Shape: round minting. Authority: the Royal Mint Llantrisant, Wales. The choice of cupro nickel made the coins hard-wearing and corrosion-resistant, essential for everyday coinage. Production and circulation. Though officially issued in 1968, many of the coins struck in that year were actually stockpiled for use leading up to and during decimalization. Between 1968 and 1970, millions of 5 new pence coins were minted in preparation for decimal day. These coins began circulating alongside the old shillings, and many people at the time referred to them interchangeably as shillings or 5p for many years. The production of the large 5 new pence coin continued until 1981. In 1990, the coin was reduced in size to better suit modern needs and reduce metal costs. The wider context, the British public and decimalization. Decimalization was a massive public education campaign. Posters, television programs, public lectures, and informational brochures were distributed throughout the late 1960s to teach citizens how to handle the new money. There was initial resistance from some members of the public, particularly among older generations who were deeply accustomed to the SSD system. The introduction of coins like the 5 new pence was instrumental in acclimating the public. Since it was identical in size and value to the familiar shilling, many people simply continued using the new coin as they had before, barely noticing the change at first. Collectability and numismatic values. One of the earliest decimal coins, the 1968 5 new pence holds special significance among collectors of British coinage. Because these coins were struck in enormous quantities for mass circulation, they are not considered rare. However, coins in uncirculated or proof condition, or those included in original 1968 decimalization sets, are of more interest to collectors. As of today, a circulated 1968 5 new pence usually sells for a modest amount, typically between 0.10 to 0.50, depending on condition. Uncirculated and proof specimens can sell for several pounds, particularly if still in their original Royal Mint packaging. Interestingly, the 1968 5 new pence is sometimes collected as a first-year-of-issue coin, meaning its primary appeal lies in its role as one of the very first decimal coins introduced. The broader legacy. The 5 new pence coin serves as a physical reminder of one of the most momentous changes in British economic life. Decimalization was a carefully managed transition that preserved public confidence in the currency system and laid the groundwork for the modern pound sterling we use today. Queen Elizabeth II's image, used across so many changes in British coinage during her reign, lends an additional emotional and historical dimension. The 1968 5 new pence captures a snapshot of a nation balancing its ancient traditions with its modernizing future. Today, as the UK continues to modernize its coinage, replacing paper notes with polymer, introducing new designs, and retiring old denominations, coins like the 1968 5 new pence remain cherished reminders of both continuity and change. Even though your 1968 5 new pence may seem like a small everyday object, it is a compact time capsule containing rich layers of history, art, economics, monarchy, and national identity, all pressed into a tiny disc of cupro nickel. The 1978 United Kingdom 5 new pence coin represents a fascinating moment in British monetary history. It reflects not only the nation's ongoing journey through decimalization, but also the enduring reign of Queen Elizabeth II. To fully appreciate this coin, we must explore its historical background, design features, minting details, and numismatic significance. Historical context: the move to decimalization. Before we analyze the 1978 5 new pence coin specifically, it's important to understand the broader historical context that led to its creation. For centuries, the British monetary system operated under a complex structure based on pounds, shillings, and pence. 20 shillings 1 shilling, 12 pence therefore 240 pence. This system dated back to medieval England, but was increasingly seen as cumbersome in the 20th century. After years of debate, the UK government decided to decimalize the currency system to simplify calculations and align more closely with other global monetary systems. The process began in earnest in 1968 and culminated on Decimal Day, 15th of February, 1971. As part of this transition, several new coin denominations were introduced, including the 5 new pence coin, which was directly equivalent in value to the pre-decimal 1 shilling coin. Initially introduced in 1968, 3 years before decimalization was fully implemented, it allowed the public to gradually adjust to the new system. The 5 new pence coin in 1978. By 1978, the 5 new pence coin was fully integrated into the daily lives of the British public. The coin minted in that year remained a continuation of the earlier design, but still carried significant cultural and economic importance. Obverse design, Queen Elizabeth II. The obverse front of the coin features the second definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machine OBE. This portrait had been in use since 1968. Queen Elizabeth II is shown wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a gift from Queen Mary. The inscription reads, Elizabeth II, DG Reg FD 1978. This stands for Elizabeth II, her name, DG Reg. De Gratia Regina, by the grace of God, Queen, FD Ake Fidei Defensor, Defender of the Faith. The year of mintage, 1978, machines. Portrait is renowned for its elegance and clarity. Unlike some later portraits, it presents the Queen in a youthful, serene pose, reflecting the stability of her early reign. Reverse design. The crowned thistle. The reverse of the coin was designed by Christopher Ironside, a prominent British coin designer. It features a thistle, the national emblem of Scotland. The thistle is crowned with the St. Edward's crown, symbolizing the unity of the United Kingdom and the monarchy's authority. The inscription reads, New Pence. 5. The use of the thistle reflects the government's desire for inclusive symbolism in post-decimal coinage, representing the whole of the UK, not only England. Specifications of the 1978 5 new pence coin metal composition: cupro nickel, 75% copper, 25% nickel, diameter 23.59 mm, thickness 1.75 mm, weight 5.65 grams, edge milled reeded, shape round. These specifications remained consistent with the earlier 5 new pence coins, minted from 1968 onwards. The metal composition gave the coin durability and a pleasant silvery appearance. Mintage and circulation. In 1978, the Royal Mint produced approximately $68,000. 5. New pence coins for circulation. The high mintage number reflects the coin's widespread use in everyday transactions during this period. Most coins entered circulation quickly due to the economy's reliance on coinage at the time, because of the high mintage, 1978. 5 new pence coins are generally common in circulated condition, though uncirculated specimens can be more desirable to collectors. The inscription, New Pence. A key feature of the 1978 coin is its inscription, New Pence, rather than simply pence. The term New Pence was used from 1968 until 1981 to distinguish the decimal coins from the old pre-decimal currency. After 1981, as the public had grown fully accustomed to decimal currency, the wording was changed to simply 5 pence, starting in 1982. Thus, the 1978 coin belongs to the first series of decimal coins, often referred to as the early decimal series. The later fate of the 5 new pence coin. In 1990, the Royal Mint demonetized the large 5 new pence coin, replacing it with a smaller, lighter version to reflect changing economic needs and to reduce production costs. The original 1968-1990 coins, including your 1978 specimen, were withdrawn from circulation. The newer, smaller 5-pence coin had a diameter of 18 millimeters and weighed 3.25 grams. This means that 1978 5 new pence coins are no longer legal tender for circulation, but remain highly collectible for numismatists and historians. Numismatic value and collectability for collectors. The 1978 5 new pence coin holds modest but real interest. In circulated condition, generally worth face value or slightly more, 0.05 to 0.10 GBP, mostly for nostalgic or educational interest. In uncirculated or proof condition, depending on condition and presentation, may fetch $1 to $5 GBP, sometimes more if graded professionally. Error coins, rare, misstrikes, off-center strikes, or die errors can greatly increase the value. Because this coin represents the height of the early decimal era, many British and international collectors seek examples in pristine condition for complete decimal sets. Cultural significance. While the coin may seem ordinary today, in the 1970s it was part of a transformative moment for the British public. Many older citizens at the time struggled with the new decimal system, having used pounds, shillings, and pence all their lives. The introduction of the 5 new pence coin, alongside its counterparts, marked a bold step into modernity and aligned Britain more closely with other global economies using decimalized systems. The 5 new pence coin also reflects the stability of Queen Elizabeth II's reign during the late 1970s, a period marked by social change, economic challenges, and the beginning of technological advances that would define the modern UK. The 1978 United Kingdom 5 new pence coin is far more than a simple piece of metal. It encapsulates a key transitional period in British monetary history, reflects careful design choices blending tradition with modernity, and symbolizes the enduring presence of Queen Elizabeth II. The next topic. The 1979 5 new pence coin of the United Kingdom is an important artifact of British monetary history. Although seemingly ordinary, it actually stands at a crossroads of numismatic transition, social change, and the evolution of the British coinage system. The coin features Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, with the reverse displaying the distinctive crowned thistle. Its design, context, and story offer a fascinating window into the United Kingdom's economic and political landscape of the late 20th century. The decimalization of British currency, setting the stage to understand the 1979 5 new pence coin, one must first appreciate the broader context of British decimalization. For centuries, the UK had used a non-decimal currency system of pounds, shillings, and pence. Once had acquired 20 shillings, 1 shilling, once had 12 pence, once had 240 pence. By the mid-20th century, this archaic system was seen as cumbersome, inefficient, and out of step with the growing international adoption of decimalized systems. After years of public discussion, planning, and debate, the UK officially adopted decimal currency on 15th of February 1971, known as Decimal Day. Under the new system, $1 was now equal to 100 new pence. The 5 new pence coin was introduced in 1968, 3 years before full decimalization, to familiarize the public with the upcoming change. It directly replaced the old shilling, maintaining the same size and weight to ease the transition. The 1979 coin, a transitional issue. Although the 5 new pence coin had existed since 1968, the 1979 issue is significant because it represents the closing years of the original large-sized 5p coins. In 1990, the coin would be reduced in size, but in 1979, it still maintained its original dimensions, weights, and reverse design, and still carried the inscription, New Pence. Obverse design, Queen Elizabeth II, by Arnold Machan, the obverse. features the second definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by British sculptor Arnold Machen, 1911-1999. This portrait was introduced in 1968 and used on all UK decimal coins until 1984. Description: the Queen is depicted facing right, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a wedding gift from her grandmother, Queen Mary. Legend, inscription, Elizabeth. De Gregf de 1979. This stands for Elizabeth II de Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, meaning Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. Portrait. Significance: Machin's portrayal emphasized a youthful and graceful image of the Queen, differing from the more formal earlier effigy by Mary Gillick used on pre-decimal coinage. Reverse design: The Crowned Thistle, by Christopher Ironside. The reverse design was created by Christopher Ironside, 1913-1992, a renowned British coin designer who was responsible for most of the original decimal coin designs. Description: the central image is a thistle, the national flower of Scotland, surmounted by a royal crown, St. Edward's crown. Inscription: New. Pence appears above, and the denomination 5 below. The thistle was chosen to represent Scotland as part of the broader United Kingdom symbolism. Other decimal coins similarly featured symbols of England, e.g., 3 lions for the 10p, Wales, Prince of Wales's feathers for the 2p, and Northern Ireland, flax plant for the 50p coin. Coin specifications: 1979 5 new pence. Specification details composition cupro, nickel, 75% copper, 25% nickel. Weight 5.65, grams, diameter 23.59, Muay thickness 1.75 Muay, Madge Mill designer, obverse, Arnold machine designer, reverse. Christopher Ironside Mint Royal Mint, UK mintage, 1979, approximately 139,000. This large mintage means that the coin was widely circulated and is not especially rare in circulated grades. The new pence inscription and its significance: originally, all decimal coins featured the inscription new pence to distinguish them from the pre-decimal coins. By 1982, once the public had fully adapted to decimalization, the Royal Mint replaced new pence with just pence on the coins to reflect that decimal currency was now fully integrated into daily life. Thus, 1979 represents one of the last years, where new pence was still being used before the change in 1982. Historical context: Britain in 1979. The year 1979 was one of profound political and economic change in the UK. Margaret Thatcher became Prime Minister in May 1979, beginning a long period of Conservative Party rule. The UK faced high inflation, labor strikes, the winter of discontent of 1978-79, and significant economic challenges. The late 1970s were also marked by debates over the UK's relationship with Europe, domestic unrest, and the beginning of major neoliberal economic reforms. Internationally, Britain's role as a world power continued to evolve in a post-imperial context. The 5 new pence coin circulated among the British public during this turbulent period, witnessing the transformation of British society. Numismatic value and collectability: because of its high mintage and wide circulation, the 1979 5 new pence coin is generally considered common in circulated condition. However, uncirculated or proof specimens can attract collector interest, particularly in full lustrous or proof-like condition. Great approximate value: circulated face value, 5p. Uncirculated, BU 0.20, 1 proof 2.0, 500 depending on quality, special. Collector sets were also issued by the Royal Mint, which can carry a premium if complete and in original packaging. End of an era. The reduction of the 5p coin in 1990, the original large 5 new pence coin was withdrawn and replaced with a smaller version to save on production costs and better suit modern wallets and pockets. The smaller coin retained the same design but omitted the word new starting in 1990. The 1979 coin, therefore, belongs to the first phase of decimal coinage, a physical reminder of the transitional decades between old and modern British. Currency. Interesting trivia and facts. Royal Mint location. In 1975, production of coinage moved from Tower Hill, London, to a new facility in Llantrisant, Wales, where your 1979 coin was struck. The new pence era, 1968-1981. Only coins dated from these years carry the new pence inscription. Durability. The cupro nickel composition makes these coins highly resistant to corrosion, which is why many 1979 coins still appear bright and silvery after decades. Cultural presence. The large 5p coin is fondly remembered by many Britons today, especially those who grew up using it before the smaller version took over. Conclusion. The legacy of the 1979 5 new pence coin. Though easy to overlook today, the 1979 5 new pence coin represents much more than its face value. It reflects the complexity of Britain's modernization, its adaptation to changing economic norms, and the continued evolution of British coinage traditions under Queen Elizabeth II's long reign. Every such coin is a small historical artifact, touched by millions, passed through markets, shops, and pockets, quietly bearing witness to Britain's journey into the late 20th century.